Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into Infinite Realms. Today I'm going to review Marvel Legends, Age of Apocalypse, Sabretooth, and Marvel Legends, Age of Apocalypse, Wild Child. Now I know that's kind of odd because those two were not in the same wave. Didn't come out at the same time. They had two different Build-A-Figures. But I honestly, in relation to that story, these two are a team. Like it or not. And I just think that they go together like bread and butter, peanut butter and jelly. I avoided Wild Child just because there wasn't a Sabretooth, and then now that there's a Sabretooth, I was able to snag them both. And yeah, well, okay, that was for Christmas, but yeah, I mean, that's still snagging, right? Okay, so let me start off with Wild Child, who I think should have been the accessory in the pack. Maybe make it a deluxe figure. I don't know. It just seems like, he's too small of a figure. And I mean, he came with a big chunk of Sugar Man. Sure, okay. He did. But still, didn't seem like enough to warrant the cost. Of course, this was on sale at this point, so that made it a little easier. And, overall, Wild Child, there's not much really there to talk about. He's kind of thin, kind of gangly. I mean, it kind of works for Wild Child, although I think he's smaller than he is in the regular 616 universe. Wild Child seemed to be not smaller than Wolverine, but not quite as big as Wolverine. I just remember them having a altercation somewhere in Alpha Flight, and it just seemed like you thought, it was like, Wild Child might have come out of this, and he didn't win, but you thought he could have gotten the upper hand. So that's the way I remember Wild Child. So this is a little bit of a midget in comparison to Wild Child. Although in the comic book run, I guess that is how they drew Wild Child. So I don't know if there was ever an explanation for that, or maybe it was just a thing for that universe. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's an okay figure, but it's not. I gotta admit, I can see why this one didn't sell well, because you need the other half. You need Sabretooth. And Sabretooth is, of course, a big beefy guy. And they got him on that bug old botter. And he's a heifer, that's for sure. Surprisingly stable for Marvel Legend. And he has a sort of clawing hands, but they're not no claws. It's not clawing. And he has some fists. He also has a swappable head, which, there's a lot going on with this figure. Which is a little more snarly and a little more mean. And, I always one thing about Age of Apocalypse that kind of cracked me up is I always thought, sometimes Sabretooth seems like the more rational one of the bunch. And that's weird, to call Sabretooth the rational one. So, yeah, it was just sort of like, he was a lot more like Wolverine was in the regular 616 universe, in my opinion. But then again, the story goes so fast that might have been just the way they wrote it, and you really didn't get a chance to really get a look at Sabretooth. And of course, as a team, my favorite parts was when Sabretooth basically just used Wild Child as a flail on a chain. That was kind of funny. So I really want to rank these two together as a team, because I just think of them as a duality, a dyad. They're one without the other doesn't make sense in the Age of Apocalypse storyline. I remember the old Toy Biz toy. They sold. Wild Child was a little standy, but he was sold with Sabretooth, and I think that's what should have happened here. Overall, on these two, I would give them 4.5 stars for the representation of what they are. Yes, Wild Child is spindly, but that's just the way he's drawn, and that's the way his design is in Age of Apocalypse. I mean, both of them fit those designs. And that's what I'm getting at. And together, I like the design. When they're together, I like the design. It's not something I would have went for with Wild Child especially, but works on a great many levels. So there you go. I hope that explains where I'm coming from on this. Is that, the two together are good, or two together are better. Apart, okay, we have an issue. But that's my review of Wild Child and Sabretooth from Age of Apocalypse. Okay, that'll wrap it up for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe.